Well, guys, welcome to episode 1 of An Entrepreneur in Training. I'm going to be super real and I'm going to be super transparent. This is like my fifth take of the first 20 seconds of this podcast because I'm not the greatest at talking. And that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast, along with a lot of other reasons. But let's get into it. My name is Ryan Zimmerman. I'm 20 years old and I'm currently running a landscaping and lawn care company here in my hometown. I've been in it for about 2 years now. Right when I graduated high school, I started my business, which we'll touch on a little more later in this episode. And I've been running it for 2 years now. Currently, my business is bringing in around $150,000 to $200,000 a year, and it's really year one and a half. I started it near the end of last year, and we're about to start this new season. So this will actually be the first full second year I've been in business. And I'm still, like a lot of you guys out there, still learning entrepreneurship, still learning how to be a business owner, still learning how to do everything that goes into being a business owner. I am very new and I'm very fresh. And the goal with this podcast is to give a very fresh and candid look at growing as an entrepreneur. I feel like like a lot of people maybe listening to this, I watch a lot of the, really big business guys in the podcast scene. And I listen to a lot of the, really rich guys in general who have a lot of good knowledge. And that, it's really good stuff that they give to you. And they obviously have a lot of experience that I don't have, but something I always wish I could find. And, I always wish I could find someone that had more of like that was in my route. I always wish I could find someone who was starting out and was actually giving, information on what they're doing actively. Like, I plan in this podcast to talk about, here's what I'm doing in my business this week. Here's what I did last week specifically. This is what it did. So that's my plan as far as the goal for this podcast. Really, the main goal of the podcast really is because I've been helping a lot of people in my personal circle. I feel like I was able to grow my business super fast. And I feel like the reason I was able to do that is because I know a lot of the marketing and I know a lot of the really good skills you need to start your business from the ground to about $100,000 a year. Because I was kind of good at that, I was able to help a lot of people my age and even younger start their business and have the confidence to at least get a couple customers doing something. So a lot of them led me to start. They all told me I should start a podcast. They all told me I should try to talk to as many young people as possible to try to persuade them to not only get into business, but those who want to get into business, show them kind of the ropes on how to get started. So this podcast, really the goal is to reach as many young people my age, in their 20s, early 30s, maybe even in the teens, who want to start a business, who just started a business, who need help. That's really the goal of this podcast. And I'm really excited to get into it because I love talking about business. I really would love to give people an outlet to listen to someone who's in the grunt work. I still go and work at my business. I'm not like out of the field talking about building teams. Obviously I'm still out there mowing lawns, cutting grass. Like, I'm still in the field working. And the goal obviously for me is to get out of that. But I feel like I can give you guys a really good outlook on, what the process looks like as I'm learning as well. So we'll all be learning together in this. And I think it's really going to be something great. So what you can expect to see later on is I really want to bring on younger people who either just started a business. I think I'm going to bring on some people like that to interview later on. I think I want to bring on some older people who, have been in business, who can give me advice and as well at the same time give everyone else advice. I'll probably ask really good questions and I'll try to ask really specific, good questions that'll give you guys good answers. And I also want to interview people who are younger, who are scared to start a business, who hasn't started one yet, because I think that'll give really good information, because I'm pretty good at talking to people who haven't quite started one, who are on the fence, and try to break those limiting beliefs that stop you from starting your business. So I'd say that's the intro for now. So let's get into my business specifically, how I got into it and kind of where it's at right now. So all through high school, I was always really interested in business. I never really wanted to go to college that bad, but I was smart enough in high school to went to college. I mean, I got good grades. it all was working out fine, but I really just didn't see any purpose in it. But at the same time, I really had big ambitions. I didn't want to just get a, normal job and make, whatever salary a year and kind of live with that forever. I felt like I had bigger things to do in my life than that. So before I graduated, I still had no idea what I was going to do. I'd just turned 18. I was in my senior year of high school, and I had no clue what I was going to do. After I graduated, I actually got a job with my choir teacher. He actually had a small, like, little mowing business on the side as he was teaching, because we all know teachers really don't get paid enough. So that's another story. But he had a small mowing gig on the side that he would do after school or during the summers. And after I graduated high school, we had a good relationship, and he actually hired me on to work for him after I graduated. And we actually had a good deal worked out for that. At the time, he was paying me like $18 an hour, but we were going to strike a deal to where I was going to pretty much run it for him, and he was moving away. It was kind of complicated, and I might get into it in a different episode more in depth on that. But basically, I decided just to throw out an offer to buy the business from him. It really came out on a whim. I was with my grandpa. My grandpa has owned a bunch of businesses in his life, and I was telling him about this opportunity, and he said, I remember vividly, he told me, if I was you, I would just buy the business. And obviously, I had never thought about it up to that point. And at that point, I texted the teacher and I said, what would you sell the business for? And after that happened, we negotiated for like a few months, and I actually bought the business from him for about $35,000. So that's what we came to. The negotiation started at like $50,000, but I ended up getting it to about $35,000, and that was with all the clients and all the equipment. So really it ended up being like 15,000 was equipment, and the rest was like the clients. And at the time, the business, because obviously I got all the financial reports, so I knew what was going on in the business before I bought it. The business was making about $7,000 a month, and that was like top line. That wasn't profit. I think it was profiting like at the time it was profiting pretty good because he was doing it all on his own. He didn't have an employee, but it was profiting like $4,000, I think, a month. So, I worked it up, and after 2 years, it would have, made the money back, and I would have been profitable. And at the same time, I really knew I had the fire, and I felt like I could grow it really fast, and I felt like I could make, the money back immediately. It was probably some weird ego I had that just told me that, if I go through with this, it's going to really work out. And, foreshadowing, it did work out. So we'll get there. So I bought the business. And that was actually last year in August that I bought the business officially, which is crazy to think because of how far it came so fast. So I bought the big business in August. And the thing about mowing where I'm from is the grass stops growing in like the end of October. So I didn't even have that many months of running the business before everything shut down because it's a seasonal business. So I pretty much ran it out for like the 3 months of that last year. And I made okay money. I made the money it was already making. And then the winter came and I was out of work. I had kind of made enough money to pay all the, bills for all the stuff over the winter. So I had scratched by, and I was really praying for some winter work to come, like random odd jobs, which didn't really end up coming. So we got into the winter of, this last year, and didn't really make much money, scooted by. Almost went and got a regular job during that time just because I don't even know if I could have considered myself a business owner because I just bought the business and it immediately went out of season. So it was just in my back pocket for a while. But during the winter, so here's kind of where the growth happened. So this is kind of where we begin on the kind of exponential growth that the business went through. I listened to some stuff online about, local service businesses because that's really what I'm in. I'm in the leads business. I'm in the local service business. So many businesses fall into that category and they all really market the same way. So I looked a lot into it, and obviously I decided to start in the winter while it was completely dead. I started to put a lot of work into my online presence and all that stuff. So, I made a Google My Business listing. I worked for months on a really nice website, I got a ton of reviews on my Google listing over the winter. And so after I did all that, so I ended the winter with great website that had a really good lead form. I ended the winter with a Google My Business page that, and I would like to say this is probably what I credit almost all the growth to. I got my Google My Business page #1 on Google in the 3 months of the winter. So my business I just started my business, brand new lawn care business on the market. And within like 3 or 4 months, I was #1 ranking on Google in my area. And I almost accredit everything that happened after that to me accomplishing that goal. Obviously, I had to implement a lot of other things to make that effective, but that was probably the main key turning point in the business. So the winter was coming to a close, and usually about April 1st is when we start mowing full time again. So March hit, the month before April, and all of a sudden, the phone started blowing up. It was insane. I went from at the time I probably was mowing 20 to 24 lawns a week. Probably mowing about 20 to 24 lawns a week at that point. And after March, after the big boom, we were mowing about 65 to 70 lawns a week within almost a month. That was a month of growth. It hit quick and fast. It was insane. All within a month, I had to find 2 employees. I had to find a whole 2 new mowers. I had to buy a new trailer. It just grew like crazy. It grew faster than I even had the money to support the growth, really. So I had to get a bunch of help. I will say I'm very fortunate to have good people in my life to help me out. My dad did help me get a few of those things that I needed. My mom had helped me to get a few of those things. And I also have a really good source. I actually am good friends with another guy who owns a lawn care business in my town. I was best friends with his son. So I have a really good source with him. And he also sold me some of his older mowers and stuff for a really good price. So I had a lot of good resources, but I was actually able to get all that stuff and start the season with 2 full-time workers, mowing a whole new, like, nice enclosed trailer. I had 2 zero-turn stand-on mowers that were, big. It was great. So we went from just right there within about a month of growth. The business went from $5,000 or $6,000 a month in revenue. After that, we were probably making $12,000 to $13,000 a month in revenue. The profit did go down because I had to hire people to take on that much more work. But just as you can see, I mean, that's just how business works. It was great. It blew up. But that's not even where the story ends. I kind of thought once that point hit where the mowing got so busy, I was like ecstatic. I thought that was like the best thing that could have ever happened. And then the next best thing that could ever happen happened. And this almost doubled the business again, which I'm sure is unbelievable, but it did. So obviously my business encompasses landscaping and mowing. And landscaping has a lot of bigger ticket jobs. So you can build flower beds, you can install plants, you can install retaining walls, you can install, anything landscaping wise. You can design entire landscape. I mean, you can do so many things with landscaping. And I kind of put all that on the back burner because mowing's the easiest one just to do at the start. It's the easiest one to get clients for. So I kind of put all that landscaping stuff on the back burner. We had done a few like prune ups, like we'd done a little bit of landscaping here or there, but not much. But what I didn't anticipate going forward was, since I did so much on my online presence and I got so much business on the mowing, all of a sudden, like a month into the season, we started getting all these calls for these big landscaping jobs too. It was nonstop. It was so all of a sudden my phone started ringing and I started to go quote these big landscaping jobs, like these $5,000 to $10,000 jobs. And about month 2 of the season, we're pretty much like having a big high ticket job every week or 2. So every week or every 2 weeks, we had a big high ticket job. So and those were about $5,000 to $10,000 each, not profit, about maybe $3,000 to $5,000 profit each on top of the mowing. And I had to hire even another new guy on top of that. So I hired a kind of a hybrid worker to help me with a bunch of those odd jobs. So that was like the second boom of the business. So the first one was when the mowing kind of blew up and we got a bunch of new jobs that way. And the second one was those high ticket landscaping jobs that came. And that almost doubled the business again. I had to hire a whole new guy. I mean, there was times where I had to call a bunch of people I knew from high school and help me. I had like 5 people at one job. It was crazy. So pretty much I bought the business making about $6,000 a month. And I'd say the best month this year that we had, the business brought in about $40,000. So, and that's top line, obviously. Profit might have been 30 to 40% of that. But as you can see, I mean, it was exponential growth. It was crazy. It went from pretty much 0 to 100 within a year. And I attribute a lot of that to what I was able to accomplish online and accomplish, with brand awareness and branding and getting myself out there with good reviews. So I could attribute a lot of that to my work in those areas online. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I've came from, and that's what I've managed to accomplish so far. Right now, we're just now hitting the winter where I'm from, so we're back in that slow area. Just to kind of give you a little update on where my business is at right this moment, I had to let all my seasonal guys go, so all my mowing guys and all them, I had to let them go find new jobs for the winter. My business isn't at a place right now where it can be busy all year. Some of the biggest businesses in the industry, at least where I'm around where I'm from, can stay in business all year through like snow and leaf work, but I just wasn't able to. I don't have the equipment to take on that much leaf work. That stuff takes big vacuums, and I just don't have the capital for it right now. I spent a lot of money on some other stuff this year, which I'll probably make an episode later on just about some things I've invested in this year for my business and kind of where I'm looking to invest in the future. But right now, so I had to let all those guys go, and I've just been skating by, just getting jobs here or there. We've built a couple fences in the winter here. We've done a couple leaf jobs that were easier. When I say when I said I hired that hybrid guy to do the kind of odd jobs with me, I've kept him on part-time just to help me if I have any like jobs come up. Because we do oftentimes get like a fence job or something like that come up quite often where I do need another hand to help. So he does stay on. So that's kind of where we're at now. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, we had a fencing job. So that's kind of where we're at. Not like full-time every week, 40 hours a week busy right now. Really just waiting to get back to the spring. But like I said, I probably could be busy year round. I just need to get to that point. I'm still just like that's what this whole podcast is about. I'm still an entrepreneur in training. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure out my own industry. I'm still trying to figure out, the best ways to do business, the best ways to be in my industry, the best ways to do what I need to do. So I'm starting this podcast to talk to you guys about what I'm doing and what works and what I've seen that works. I'm also making this podcast to show like what the day-to-day looks like when you're on the come up. I feel like a lot of guys who make the podcast, they've already made it. They're not really in their come up story anymore. They usually make the podcast after they've already made it up. So this is kind of, I'm still climbing. I'm still really at the bottom of the ladder. So this is really just a podcast coming up from the bottom. So I want to have people on to teach me things, which in turn will teach you guys things. And I want to teach you guys what I know and what at least can get you guys started and get you guys a head start into your businesses. So that's kind of my story. So why create this podcast? I guess that was my next point that I wanted to talk about. So really the podcast, the goal is I really just like, I've really enjoyed helping people my age really get into the mindset of starting a business. I think it's like the most valuable thing you could ever do. I think a lot of people want to start a business, but they just don't think it's possible for them. I think a lot of people really do believe that starting a business and, making something for yourself is like limited to just the top % of people. And I'll admit I've had a lot of benefits in my life and I've had a good life. I'm definitely not like any rags to riches story, but I really do believe the things that I've done, I would be able to do again if I had a worse situation. I truly believe that. I don't think anything that I accomplished, I couldn't have accomplished in a different situation. I think it's all about the mindset, and I think it's all about knowing how to start and knowing what to start. So really the goal of the podcast is just to try to reach out to you guys and let you know, let you guys know what is possible and that it is possible for everybody. It's possible. Every single person listening to this could turn around today and start a business and succeed. It's not, anybody can do it. The whole reason that not everyone does it is because they just have these limiting beliefs in their mind that make them believe that they can't. But anybody can. And I'm just hoping that I can reach out to you guys and help you guys start and show you, what can come of it, and show you literally how I'm doing it and what I'm doing as I do it. Because I'm only a year away from being in the shoes you guys are in right now, assuming you haven't started a business. Because like a year and 5 months ago, I had no clue what I was going to do with my life. So I just want you guys to know that I'm fairly in your guys' shoes. And I had to change my mindset, and I had to learn a lot of things to get where I am now in the year and a half that it's been. And I want to help a lot more people my age to get there. And I want to give you guys a good example of that. So I think that's why I started the podcast. So as far as how I want this podcast to operate, I think I'm going to be posting every week, and I want it to try to be on Sundays. I think that'd be best. So I'm going to post weekly on Sundays. I don't know if I'll have interviews here yet. I think I still need to find some people to interview. I think it'll just be me talking for now. I think the first 4 or 5 episodes, I can give out some really good information about just what I've done, what I've learned. So these first, 3 or 4 episodes will be mainly what I've done and how you guys can do it too. And then after that, we can get into talking to people, having conversations, and learning maybe new things that I don't even know. So really, I'll probably just give an update on my business every week, talk about some things that I'm doing actively, what's working, what's not working, and then hopefully have some people on and we can all learn some things. So I do want to have kind of a key takeaway for every episode. And I say for this one, it's obviously the first episode, so the main takeaway is I'm here and we're going to be starting this. But after that, I really think the key takeaway, and I want this to be a key takeaway for every episode really, but for your whole life, but you don't have to know everything to start. So that is something that I think is really important to really wrap your head around. And it really made a big difference in my life when I didn't just think it, you have to believe it. But when you really believe that you don't have to know everything to start something, I think you can really start to succeed. Even in this podcasting situation, I mean, I'm not the best in front of a camera. I'm not the best at talking. I've really never done something like this before. And I don't know the right ways to podcast. I don't know if this is the right background. I don't know if this is the right mic. I don't know if this is going to be the right stuff to talk about. I don't know if this is the right thing to do. You don't have to know all that stuff. You just have to do it and see if it's something you want to do, if it's something you feel is going to make you complete, if it's something you want to achieve. That should be all you have to think about. From there, you shouldn't worry about anything else. You should just go and do it. So, if you're on the fence about something, if there's something in life that you want to start, if you want to just do it, I say this with so much certainty, but you should just do it. It's so important that you just take some action and you do it. And I don't want to say that in a rude way, but it's really important that you just move forward and you just get it done. You take at least one step. That's the most important thing. Just start. Once you start, usually you can finish it. The hardest part is starting. So I guess we'll wrap this up here. So I guess thank you guys for listening, if anyone is. I have no clue how this is going to turn out. If it does, I'm going to keep pumping these out anyways. Hopefully someone listens, because I really think this could help some people. And that to me is really important, is just helping people my age really accomplish their goals. Because I see a lot of people my age who are really stuck in, I hate to say it, but stuck on their phones, stuck following, stuck being a consumer. I think people my age really need to get in the mindset of, making something for themselves and creating. So thank you guys for listening. This is obviously the first episode of An Entrepreneur in Training. It definitely means the world that you guys are listening to this, and hopefully you made it all the way through. And I hope that you learned at least something from this episode. It definitely wasn't an educational video, really just an introduction, but if you could take something away, that'd be great. I'm really not sure how the publishing platforms work yet, honestly. So if there's a way to comment, if there's a way to leave a like, I'd appreciate it. I honestly don't even know right now. I've never even posted one of these before. So if there's a way to leave a like, if there's a way to comment, I would greatly appreciate it. I would especially appreciate a comment. Even if it's criticism, you could tell me, hey, that background sucks, or your mic sounds horrible. You should probably get a new one. That's perfectly fine. Or if everything sounds great, you can let me know that, hey, this is good. I'm excited to listen. So the next episode, I want to probably talk about my belief system, not like religiously, but just like limiting beliefs, kind of thing you have to believe in to really succeed in business. So the next episode is going to be about mindsets. It's going to be about how to think right and how to really get into the mindset of business, and also just some things to expect from starting a business that you may not expect normally. So that's what I'm going to talk about the next episode. But I appreciate you guys, and thanks for listening. I'm going to get out of here now and catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you. Bye.